earlier. So as not to be one of the few people in the country walking around saying, I haven't seen Star Wars, I went to see it last night. I'd seen a couple of film clips, and it's quite a trip. It's really a fun film, and it is... and underneath all the special effects, it's a story about a kid growing up on a planet that has, not like our 2 suns, monsters and strange people under any rock, but he seems to be pretty normal, and he plays the central character from Star Wars. Would you welcome Mark Hamill? Mark? First of all, I say I never had so much fun in a motion picture since I was a kid and went to see Buck Rogers with Buster Crabbe. You see how quickly they forget Buster? Oh, that was a big... They show those now on Channel 13 around, and those were done, I think, in the early 30s. And that was considered, you know, really far out.
Right.
They were way ahead of their time. But Star Wars is an amazing film.
It's exactly what inspired George to make it,
Really?
though, because he has that great love for... He loved the Alex Raymond illustrations for Flash Gordon. He loved Buck Rogers. And he just felt that he wanted to make a movie where there were real heroes again. He thought, you know, with just cops busting people for dope and this and that, you know, he said, now let's go to a galaxy far, far away where we don't have to know why these guys are bad. They're just bad.
Well, what it was a Western. It's an intergalactic Western with the good guys very carefully delineated. You know where the bad guys are. You know the good guys.
Yeah.
You got the hero and his buddy who go to get the princess, right, Leia.
Yeah.
And it's all of those composite things together, and it's just for pure fun. You don't have to sit and say, what is the message behind this?
No.
What probing deep message? I understand
Well,
some people, they told me some of the youngsters have been back 5, 6, and 7 times to see it.
We just visited the White House at that AFI film thing, and Amy Carter had seen it 5 times. We gave her a stormtrooper helmet from the movie,
one of the
white
ones?
helmets, and I told her to wear it at the dinner table every night.
So she doesn't have to see Billy. Yeah, that would be it. Yeah, I just read the other day, it's going to be, to sound mercenary, but you almost have to because it's a phenomenon in the business. And I'm sure when they made it, from what I understand, they really didn't have any idea because motion pictures are a gamble. You can spend a lot of money until the public shows up. They either make it or break it. But I understand it's going to be, if not already, one of the biggest. It's already surpassed Jaws already.
I asked today because so many people have asked, how much money has it made? And
People
when
answered that,
you
I
don't know. You just say...
It's the largest grossing. It went over Jaws a few days ago.
Yeah, what was the final total?
Well, it's made 191 million in the United States in less than 6 months.
$191 million.
You know, yeah.
And it hasn't even been released overseas yet, right?
It's just opening now in Paris and Australia and a couple other places. But
that is incredible.
It is. When we were making it, people asked me, well, did you think it was going to be successful? And yeah, I thought I never really thought about it. I just thought, gee, this is great fun. I mean, they're giving us laser guns, and I get to rescue a princess, and, you know.
It looked like a campy thing to make.
Well, sure, and it was so hard. A lot of times, it's a true story. Harrison Ford, who plays the space pirate in the film, at one point threatened to tie George up and make him say his own lines at gunpoint. I mean, the dialogue was a little bit difficult. I remember there was one line that I just begged him to take out of the screenplay, and he finally did. And
you remember the line?
Yes, boy, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I sometimes dream about this line. It was just coming upon the exploded planet of the princess, Alderaan, and it's totally been blown away. And Harrison says, look, kid, I've done my part of the bargain. When I get to an asteroid, you, the old man, and the droids get dropped off. And my line was, but we can't turn back. Fear is their greatest defense. I doubt if the actual security there is any greater than it was on Aquilai or Solis, and what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault. And I thought, who talks like this, George? I mean, this is really not fair because, you know, we're the ones that are going to get vegetables thrown at us, not you.
It's a lot of fun. Now, you got to remember, you are luckier than a lot of people in the film. At least people know you.
Oh,
I saw an item in Newsweek today, just came out, about the fellow who played Darth Vader, who's an English actor.
That's right,
and
David Prowse.
David, what's his name?
Prowse. He's a British weightlifting champion.
And he says, here I am in one of the biggest grossing motion pictures of all times. And he plays, you know, Darth Vader, the guy in the black thing. Nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
And And the
little
midget playing
R2D2.
R2D2?
Well, our R2D2, there were about 9 different R2D2s, and 8 of them were real robots, either hydraulic air or radio-controlled or little wires. And one had Kenny Baker, who's the smallest man in England. It was really terrible because there'd be like 5 R2D2s all around the set, and we'd go to lunch, and we'd hear a little man going, "Let me in, let me in." We would be like placing bets on which R2D2 you thought he was in.
See, at least they know you by your face. How about the fellow who played the droid now? In the gold?
Oh, that's right, Anthony Daniels.
Nobody knows who he is.
And he was terrific.
One of the major actors in the whole thing.
Yeah.
We have a couple of minutes. I'm going to show you a couple of minutes like it needs a plug or something. But those of you who haven't seen it might get a kick out of this. What particular scene is this, Mark? You know what we're going to see?
Yeah, this is, we've just rescued the Princess
Leia, right?
Princess Leia, and actually, it doesn't make any difference. If you just put it on,
just watch it.
We'll all have a good laugh.
It's too bad we don't have, too bad we don't have the whole stereophonics.
I mean, many people...
I love it.
Many people have compared it to Ibsen, actually.
Oh, yes, close.
Very
intellectual. Fred Ibsen, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
No, so many people ask me about Sir Alec Guinness. I guess the 2 most often questions are Sir Alec and the robots. And there's a wonderful story that kind of tells you about both of them. There was many dwarves in the film, and midgets to play little Jawas, little creatures.
Right.
And there was one who in real life was not an actor, he's a comedian. He's a stand-up comic in music hall, which is like vaudeville over there.
Right.
And he's a spritz comic. He's an insult comedian. He's like a waist-high Don Rickles. And seriously, he would just insult you. You could never deal with the guy because you couldn't get a joke in. He was just too funny. And an example, one of his running gags was he felt that it was an insult that he didn't get a chair with his name on it. And all the actors in the film did. So he found this rock in the Sahara Desert, this big flat rock, and he took a piece of adhesive tape and put his name in indelible ink, and he carried this rock every location we went on in Africa before the truck could even unload our chairs. While we were still, he would already be there with an umbrella, a little lemonade, some sunglasses, and sun oil. Say, "Oh, did your truck break down or what?" So
Guinness is wonderful.
Well, that's it. We went one night to dinner with Sir Alec, and he's very reserved, kind of shy at first, but he has a sense of humor that really comes out, and he helped me get this guy. Because Tony Daniels, who played 3PO, said, "Tell Sir Alec what he told you." And I said, "Oh, yeah." Jack, who normally is always on, finally got serious one time, and he said, "You know, I do joke a lot, but the truth of the matter is I am so in awe of Sir Alec Guinness. And I don't know what to say, because when I was a kid in London, I would go all over town on the bus to try and see one of his films." And I said, "Well, gee, didn't you meet him when we got on the charter airplane?" And very seriously, he said, "Oh, yeah, he's a tremendous guy. When I got on the plane, he spoke to me straight away. He said, 'Get out of my way.'" So I said, "You little, I'm gonna get you." And we told Guinness this. Now, Guinness chuckled, and he sort of stroked his beard. And we were in a big dining hall, and Jack, this little dwarf, was over holding court. Big laughs at the dinner table. And Guinness leaned over to me and said, "Which small person is he?" And I said, "See that guy over my right shoulder?" Now, fade out. 2 weeks later, we're in the desert again. It's complete open wilderness. Everywhere you can look. You can walk with your eyes closed and never fall down. And Jack is sitting on his rock reading his book. And Guinness started very slowly walking towards Jack, and I said, "This is it. This is the day." And I kind of watched from the side. Guinness had the hood on, like that big sorcerer's hood, and he's really ominous looking. And he kept getting closer to Jack and closer to Jack. And Jack started like looking around and thinking, well, I'd better say something. So he was halfway off his rock to say hello. And Guinness pulled the hood back and said, "Get out of my way! Get out!" And Jack, the blood dropped from his face, and he was shaking. He just looked all around because you could go anywhere and not bump into him. Well, Jack said to me, "I have to hand it to you. When you play a practical joke, you get the best talented people in England."
That's funny. You can do the sequel too, I understand, right?
Yeah.
Star Wars. Okay. We'll return after this message from Sears, the men's store.